Do you want to go from here to here? We're going to give you 5 movements that you can use to optimize your pulling strength, and we're going to start right now. So what you're used to hearing is to create more tension in your abs, create more tension in your core, make sure your back is tight. But the easy answer is you can do this instead. Your back needs to be strong, and you should be able to lift with it, but not like this. Oh. Belts are great to use when we're going for max attempts, but if we want to strengthen our back, take it off. You don't use a belt, especially if we're doing clean pulls with 110 kilos. And trap bars are good, but if you really want to strengthen your back and improve your overall pulling, I would say avoid the trap bar and don't feed into that functional weakling guru. So if we want to have a really big pull, a really strong pull, especially if we're doing technical coordination movements or even deadlifts, we need to make sure that we set tension in the lats, okay? We also need to make sure that we're actually driving through our heels to light up our glutes. We even need to think about how our rectors firing, how are our rhomboids firing, how are they squeezing our spine? And even to a point, I like to think about what is my forearm doing? To a point, I like to see, even with technical coordination movements, a slight flexion in my wrist to help keep that bar a little bit tighter. Just like wringing out a wet towel. In today's video, we are giving away this shirt for free, and the only thing that you need to do to be in this giveaway, to be eligible, is to comment down below, make sure that all of your notifications on, and then show up to Tuesday's live stream, which starts at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Now, let's get back to getting swole. So let's use a story of our own world-class athlete here at Garage Strength, Haley Reichert. So she is an absolute animal. Now, she has had issues with her pulling strength. She can squat an absolute house, but at times she hasn't been able to feel really tight off the floor, and that has led to an issue of clarking. So that means basically just deadlifting at clean instead of racking it. Sorry, Haley, I'm attacking you right now. But we've used multiple different exercises to improve her pulling strength so she can hold better positions and move heavy weight fast. And now she's a 2-time Pan American champion and she's a world bronze medalist. So we're gonna go over all of those key exercises that we use to improve her pulling strength, and you guys can apply it today to your training. What if we slowed a movement down so we got more time under tension? Time under tension is a surefire way to help improve your technique with technical variation exercises. And by using this unique trick, we can improve our technical patterning. We can lengthen our muscles a bit better, and while we're lengthening those muscles, that will lead to greater strength results. When we have greater strength results, that's also gonna help us accelerate the implement or accelerate the barbell a little bit faster. And that unique trick is going to be utilizing slow eccentrics. You can use slow eccentrics in a deadlift. You can use slow eccentrics in a snatch pull, a snatch grip deadlift, a clean pull, okay? But one of the ways that you can do this is you can actually pull a clean through that full range of motion and you don't rack it, but then as you lower, you add 4 to 6 seconds through that eccentric. And the eccentric is when you're going to be lowering the bar. When you're doing that, you actually want to focus on doing your technique in reverse. Okay, so that's gonna help you feel those positions. It's gonna help you lengthen those muscles through the eccentric patterning. It's gonna also help drastically improve your back strength. You can use rep schemes like 5 sets of 4, 6 sets of 3, and I would even do this in the exposure phase, the comprehension phase, and then a little bit even inside of the ascension phase. And one of the other tricks that you can do is that if you're an athlete who struggles pulling right off the floor, you can do a pause after you do that slow eccentric. So let's say you pull up to the top, you lower for 5 seconds, and then you pause right before dropping the bar on the floor for 3, 4, 5 seconds. So you can add those slow eccentrics in. That's gonna light up your lower back. It's gonna increase the strength of your hamstrings, and it's going to improve your technique. Now, imagine if I told you there's an exercise that you can use to add 150 pounds to your deadlift if you did it for about 6 months. So this next exercise is a movement that will add 150 pounds to your deadlift. and it's going to improve that tension in your core. It's gonna prevent you from being dead bent. One of my favorite songs from MF Doom. It's gonna improve your mobility. It's gonna improve your strength off of the floor, and it's gonna strengthen the hell out of your back while increasing your dynamic trunk control. And you can use this throughout all phases of parabolic periodization, and you can even use it with different rep schemes, okay? And that exercise is going to be the front squat. Now, when we're doing a front squat, I like to use different variations of a front squat. We can use front squat to a box. We can use front squat pauses. We can use unbroken front squats. We can use double bounce front squats. So really, I just gave you an extra 5 exercises. Now, I like doing 5 doubles, 5 triples, or even doing 4 sets of 4 and then a drop set of 7 that's unbroken. And when we're gonna execute that front squat, which I'll demonstrate shortly, I want to really see that upright posture. Okay, that's gonna light up your erectors, and while that improves your erectors, you can think about that and pushing your abs forward, okay, so filling up your gut, and that's gonna help provide a nice structural base of stability. Okay, that's gonna help with that tension in your pulling strength. It will drastically improve your pulling strength. Now, I'm gonna demonstrate with that bodybuilder cross arm front squat. If we're trying to improve our athleticism, if we're trying to improve our ability to apply force in a pull, I would recommend having a clean grip front squat, mainly because where your shoulders are in, that position that you're gonna be in is gonna be very similar to the position that you're in when you're actually pulling. If you can't get to that position, you can put those straps that we showed you earlier from GarageStrength.com onto the bar, or you can do the bodybuilding cross-armed front squat that everybody's gonna make fun of me for in the comments. So I wanna get down to the bottom position here, okay? And I wanna focus on, if I'm doing a pause, it might look like this. Okay, minimal bounce out of the bottom. If I'm doing a double bounce, it might look like this. If I'm doing a slow eccentric to really light up my erectors, it might look like this. And then if I'm doing unbroken, let's say 2 reps unbroken, it would look like this. So all of those forms of the front squat done over 4, 5, 6 months in various phases of periodization is gonna lead to 150 pounds on your deadlift. This is something that I did for over 2 years. I front squatted every single day for 2+ years. And it also played a pivotal role in getting me to deadlift 705 pounds. Let me rub my back. So the front squat's gonna help you with that tension right off of the floor. It's also gonna show you some potential weaknesses that each individual athlete has, and that's where this next movement comes into play with pulling strength. That's gonna be pin squats. Okay, so we're gonna go with a slow eccentric, and we really wanna hit a position where we feel weak, okay? And that's gonna help improve that tension. Now, one aspect we've got to think about with pulling strength is that typically when we're doing a deadlift or a clean pull or a snatch pull, there's no eccentric. There might be a dynamic start. I'm going to give you a little bit of a secret on how you can improve with a plyometric that can be used for deadlifting or for cleans or for snatch pulls, and that's going to be using a dynamic start and even using top-down deadlifts. Now, back to the pin squats. If we understand that there's no eccentric action before we pull off of the floor, that's one of the things that makes a pull a lot harder, especially for short-limbed athletes. Okay, so when we think about the pin squat, there still will be an eccentric action, okay? So if I drive up and then I lower back down, when I hit that position, there's an eccentric load. But I wanna pause for about 3 to 4 seconds, try to think about pulling, and then you don't have the eccentric to really predicate your body on that pulling awareness. So now when you get back down, you hit the pins, 1, 2, 3, and you drive back up, and you try to make it feel exactly how the pull off the floor will feel. The cool part with pins is that you can change the degree or the position of where the athlete's pulling from. So if you are an individual who sucks right off the floor, you wanna make it a little bit lower, and you wanna make that joint angle pretty similar. And if we struggle with the pull around our knee, we wanna get to that same joint angle when we're actually having the bar around our knee. Now that's where we're gonna set those pins. We're using our ZKC scoops here, but we're also gonna give you an alternative. If you don't have access to these ZKC scoops, we'll show you how you could do this even in a commercial gym. Pick them up at the link below. So now we're gonna show you what you could do if you're in a commercial gym, or if you're even just in a high school. We're gonna show you an alternative to the actual ZKC scoops. Now remember, the whole goal comes back to neural learning, rate coding, and getting your body to be able to recruit high threshold motor units very, very quickly. That's what we wanna do when we're pulling off of the floor. Okay, so we like to use this exercise on impulse day. Rep schemes might be 4 triples, 4 sets of 4, 5 doubles, okay, impulse day. And I even like to use this during the comprehension phase leading into the ascension phase. If you guys want more information or you want periodization made simple, you can pick up Peak Strength, head over to peakstrength.app and get those gains today, okay? So now, if I go down slowly, I want you to pay attention here. I wanna go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, up, okay? So that's gonna mimic that pull off the floor. It's gonna be closer to around my knee. Okay, I'll do that again. This is also a great movement if somebody wants to improve their overall vertical jump. Now I'm gonna show you one of the things that we did with Haley to improve her pulling strength is to get her in that position where she's gonna be closer to the floor. So this is gonna be pretty low when we get into this position, okay? And this is one of the cool things about Peak Strength is that we've got a whole bunch of different squat variations. We cater towards your weaknesses to make your weaknesses your strengths, okay? So you can go to the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, peakstrength.app, and you can download the app today for 7 free days of training. Now, if I wanna improve from that deep position, okay, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, oh, 1, 2, up. Okay, so that is where we're gonna get a lot stronger right off the floor. One more. And one of the big factors is that we don't want to dump our chest. Okay, we want to stay as upright as possible, and then that's going to lead to that great transfer in the clean pull, in the deadlift, in the snatch. You can download Peak Strength today for 7 free days of training. You can cancel it at any time during those 7 free days. The worst thing that you can do is nothing. Download Peak Strength today so that you can attain your peak strength. Now, on to the next exercise. So we've done a bunch of absolute strength exercises to improve that pulling capability. But what if I told you about a specific accessory, and a rotational accessory at that you can use to enhance your ability to pull off the floor? Now, one of the things that you can do is recognize that a lot of people tend to pull and even squat where they might rotate to their strong side. Okay, so you might see someone do a deadlift and they rotate. You might see someone do a deadlift or a clean pull and that one side is actually higher than the other. That tends to be very, very common with athletes across the entire spectrum, okay, from football to weightlifting to powerlifting. It's very, very consistent. But that's where this next accessory movement comes into play. And that is going to be done using our sweet GHD. So if I get set, I'm gonna have a little bit longer legs here, and you can change the leg length, you can do bent knee if you want, if you really wanna hammer somebody's hamstrings. But this is a really, really unique method for improving their pulling capability and to try to get rid of that rotation, or even when you see someone who pulls a little bit higher on one side versus the other. Typically, that's because someone has a little bit more action in their rhomboids, in their lats on one side over their other side, okay? So we've just gotta be aware of that as coaches and even as athletes. And when we're doing the GHD, one thing that I tend to see is a lot of athletes will push into the plate with their toes. Try to push into the plate with your heels. Okay, when you do that, it's gonna mimic what you're doing off the floor. You wanna have full foot pressure, but ideally really trigger yourself to push through those heels. Now, if I take a 10K, now that I'm looking at this 10 kilo plate, I'm a little concerned it's gonna be heavy. And I'm gonna hit here, and I'm gonna give you guys 2 things that you can do, okay? You wanna rotate about 45 to 90 degrees and come up. Oh, oh. So that's one aspect of a rotational glute ham. Okay, the next one that you can do is we call these Dane's fast glute hams. Okay, it's very similar to our Dane's fast abs. This is gonna be, we're holding here, okay, and I'm gonna go rotate, boom, rotate, boom, rotate, boom, rotate, boom. Okay, so that's another way to use a rotational aspect on the glute ham. I'm gonna give you reps and sets here. We might do 4 sets of 5 to each side. That's something that we've done with Haley to really try to alleviate that twisting that she has, and it's gotten quite a bit better. And then that stays tighter into her hip, which helps her hit those big lifts that she needs to get that world medal. I'm gonna show you another movement that we've used, and that's gonna be incorporating our power elastics. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but I'm gonna show you one specific way. We've got our sweet loops here. So if you have a GHD at a CrossFit box or at your local gym, whatever, you can use this. You can even have it just a dumbbell setup, okay? But you can put the loops right around. It's a lot easier when I have somebody help me right here, okay? So now we got that set up. When I come in through here, I wanna put this on the opposing shoulder. So I'm gonna go here, like this, come up, come up, come up. And it's gonna be a little bit shorter range of motion with that rotation. And we wanna do the weak side first. So typically, if you have someone who jerks with their right leg forward, they'll twist towards that right leg. So you actually wanna do your left shoulder first. And when we're doing something like that with a shorter range of motion, we could do like 4 sets of 12 on each side. Now, one big factor before we close this out is that I would recommend doing these during the comprehension phase, the ascension phase. When you get closer to a peak during the summit phase, back off of really intense accessory movements like this. I'm out of breath. My heart rate's around 125 just from demonstrating these exercises, okay? So try to make sure that the complex accessory movements are done during the 2 middle phases, because then as we're heading closer to our specific peak, we wanna make sure we have enough energy for those big pulls. So when you guys go to training today, we said in the beginning this is 5 exercises, but really it's 10. Pick one of these or 2 of these that you can do today. And don't forget, if you want help with your training, you want help with your programming, head over to peakstrength.app and you can download that today for 7 free days of training. You can cancel at any time that you want. Also, don't forget to tune into our lives on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, so that you can figure out if you won that free t-shirt. Because remember, freaks, if you guys want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.